Hello and welcome to the Morning Scoop. It is Saturday, August 20th, and today I'm joined by Bill Greene to talk about the Ohio State recruiting process and what they need to do to close with some good momentum. Bill, how are you today?
Doing good, Joe. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited for the season to get started, and I want to ask you a little bit about Ohio State's recruiting, and I want to ask you, what do you think really needs to get done in order for Ohio State to leave the 2023 cycle feeling great about the class as a whole, and who do you think their primary targets really need to be to try and close out the year?
Yeah, if you look on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, they possibly could be done. You know what I mean? They've got their quarterback, got Mark Fletcher in as a running back, trying to keep a hold on him. Four receivers, stud tight end that I love in Thurman. You got four linemen committed. Would they take a fifth? Yeah, if it was, Sam Okunlola, you take him. I don't think they're going to reach on a fifth if it's a project type. So, you could almost look at the offense and think they're done. Defensively, they have a ton of DBs committed. Um, the Dijon Johnson thing, I don't know. I think Ryan Day just walked away. I don't think he was comfortable with the whole situation. Um, so, I don't know what to think of Dijon going forward. He could commit to someone today, and there's no guarantee he's going to sign with them on signing day. Are they still in contact with Caleb Downs? I think you fight that thing out until signing day. You keep calling him until he tells you to stop or doesn't answer your calls. So DB recruiting, would they take another corner? Yeah, I think so. Another safety, if it's a superstar, yes. Linebacker recruiting, man, I mean, they just struck out, with Tackett Curtis and the Bowles kid. Um, there's maybe some hope, maybe that they can get back in with Tackett Curtis. Then you drop down and you look at Arvell Reese. Is he a linebacker? Is he a D lineman? I think he's a D lineman after seeing him the second time. When I thought he was 205 pounds, watching him move, I was thinking maybe a linebacker. But then when Ted Ginn told me he's 230 pounds and he's going into his senior year and he's not on the Ohio State nutrition and weightlifting program, well, that 230 is going to be 270. So I think he's a D lineman. So linebacker, you got a hole there. That Jim Knowles has got to step up, and he doesn't have a lot of experience recruiting against the big dogs. Well, he's got to go against the big dogs now and land. I mean, you need linebackers. D line, Larry Johnson, you got the Moore kid who I think is just out of this world, tremendous. Then he's chasing, some DNs that we really like, Mateo Uyagalele. We love that kid, and I think they've got a shot at him. You got the recent decommitment of Keon Keeley. I think he's going to be on Ohio State's campus in a couple of weeks when they play Notre Dame. Unofficial or official, I'm not sure. I'm being led to believe it'll be an official visit. Ohio State does those as well as anyone in America. So that's all you can ask for. You get your shot with Keon Keeley. Take your 48 hours, show him, what you've got at Ohio State, what Larry Johnson has done with so many guys that are in the NFL. So DN recruiting, I got to think they're positioned pretty good there. So would they take another D tackle? Yeah, I think so. I think so. So I think, if you split this to offense defense, I think offense, you could almost say you're done there. Defense, you got a lot of work to do there. You need a couple linebackers, definitely need a couple DNs. So, and we're just, we're early in the process. And I think this is going to be the year we see more flips than we've ever seen in the past. And I think NIL is going to play a huge factor as we get closer to signing day this year. So for Ohio State, they got to hang on to their guys, and then you got to look to add where you can add. So right now, I think it's I would call it a really good class with the potential, if Larry Johnson can hit a couple home runs here, the potential to take good to great. So that's how I see it right now.
So you mentioned Okunla and Tackett and also Keon Keeley. Where would you position Ohio State's chances of really either getting them or having at least a great chance at it? I know with Curtis and And
Yeah.
Okunlo's a little bit different, but with Curtis, do you think he's flippable?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he just doesn't seem like that type of kid with his uncle as a head coach. His uncle's probably been through the recruiting process 1,000 times. And usually, when you get a high school coach involved, they're usually dead set against the flipping, unless there's, a tragedy happening. If the coach gets fired or the school goes on probation. Not seeing that for USC. I mean, I think Tackett Curtis is going to be pretty tough to flip. Um, Okunlola, I don't know, you got to get him on campus, and there's about 5, 6 other schools that I think feel a lot better about where they're positioned than Ohio State is. So Keon Keeley is the one I think is doable. You got to blow him away on this visit. He loved Notre Dame for a reason. And I think Notre Dame is, if you're looking at the type of lifestyle he would have there, I think it's very similar to what he would have at Ohio State. You're talking about Midwest schools, and weather would be about the same. So, and then you get the city of Columbus added in to such a great campus. So that makes me think Ohio State's got a fighting chance, because Alabama does not compare. I mean, Alabama and Notre Dame are 200 eons apart in how they will develop you and the type of social life you're going to have. They're not even close. And how Nick Saban is going to mold you and how Marcus Freeman's going to mold you, not even close to the same type of thing. So if he favored Notre Dame at one time, that might, push him maybe toward Ohio State, where you kind of get the best of both worlds. You don't have that Nick Saban, dog eat dog, survive or die attitude. And you get Ryan Day, who's, not to say that he's, not tough, because he's tough, but you get Columbus, you get the campus, you get Larry Johnson. So it makes me think Ohio State's got a shot. And I would list Keeley, of the three you mentioned, I would list Keeley as, one I would like their chances better than with the other two. But I might like them with Mateo Uiagalelei, maybe better than they are with Keeley. So there's just a long way to go in this stuff. Uiagalelei could be a signing day decision. So his decision, he may not even be close to worrying about this stuff yet. So I would just kind of preach patience. I think they've got the bulk of the class, I think, is in, and it's a darn good class. So you got to finish it to take it from darn good to great. So, but that's how I kind of see things right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And with just to ask you, with Keeley, there's different perspectives with the way the defensive line plays at Alabama versus Ohio
Right.
State. Would you say that Keeley is more of a typical hand in the dirt type of guy, in your opinion?
Yeah, I do. I think he's a 4-3 weak side DN, which is where Ohio State would feature him. But Alabama, they probably are going to tell him he's going to be a stand-up guy, like a jack linebacker, and that might appeal to him. In that defense, it's really semantics there. I mean, they're almost, if he goes to Bama, they're almost going to play him like a stand-up DN, which Jim Knowles may do that too. So we may be splitting hairs here with that. So I don't think that's going to be a deciding factor. I really don't.
Right, gotcha. Well, anyway, moving on to the quarterback position, a lot of has been made over Ryan Day's ability to recruit quarterbacks, and that's really something that Ohio State didn't so much have until him. Aside from if you want to consider Tate Martell one of the big high end quarterback recruits that Urban Meyer supposedly brought in. So now we're kind of into that world where Ohio State has just top end passers year in and year out. We've seen Haskins, Justin Fields, and C.J. Stroud now, and each of them seems to be more dominant than the next. Now you were obviously around the recruiting game long before Day was ever the head coach at Ohio State. So how have you seen the way the approach has changed in recruiting the quarterback position, just the way the offensive staff approaches offensive recruiting as a whole from the Urban Meyer era to the Ryan Day era?
Well, Ryan wants NFL 3 and out, first round draft choice quarterbacks. That's what he wants. And that's what he's getting right now. So, Urban, that offense was, he won with it. Um, So you can't take that away from him. But, I just don't think Ryan Day wants Tristan Wallace or Matt Baldwin or Tate Martell or Dewan Mathis. I mean, that's not who he wants. And that's what you're going to get when you run the Urban Meyer offense. You're not going to attract the top guys. You're not getting Dylan Raiola to come in and run the zone read. It's not going to happen. So, Ryan Day came in, he was handed JT Barrett. He made the most of JT. He got the most out of him he could get. He's not going to recruit another JT Barrett. That's not what he wants at quarterback. So there's been a shift. I think it's a good shift. I think it's the right way to go. I think wide receiver recruiting gets tied into quarterback recruiting now. And, they're getting these super wide receivers now. And it's a lot easier for Brian Hartline to recruit these receivers to come play with Dylan Raiola and CJ Stroud, and, Devin Brown. I mean, it's easy to get those guys now. I mean, Zach Smith actually did an amazing job recruiting wide receivers. When you look at the offense he had to recruit them to come into, where they were going to be blockers and they were going to get hurt. The quarterback's going to be running. You're going to be blocking linebackers. You're going to be dinged up all the time. And they were. So, but Zach was still able to recruit a darn good crop of wide receivers to Ohio State. Terry McLaurin, we can name them. He did a good job. But, I'm sure Zach would rather be recruiting now at Ohio State, recruiting wide receivers now to come into this offense than to recruit him to come into Urban's covered wagon offense. So Hartline's great. He's great. But he's got a little easier right now than what Zach had.
Absolutely, and I have to imagine that for Day and Heartline, those two working together, it has to make the ability to recruit those positions as well as they have has to make each other's lives a heck of a lot easier, right?
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, they work hand in hand. You know what I mean? I mean, for Hartline to get the guys he's getting, he needs Ryan Day to get the guys he's getting. Okay. And for Ryan Day, for him to get out there and recruit all these top flight QBs, he needs 5-star receivers for those QBs to develop. So they just work hand in hand. They're a great tandem. They really are. I mean, I love the way they work together. Um, it's fits like a glove. I mean, those two work so well together, and I think we're going to see it for a long time. I don't see Brian leaving what he has in Columbus, and I don't see Ryan Day leaving Columbus either. So I think we're going to see this, going forward. And it's not like Ryan Day has been a head coach for 10 years, still a relatively new head coach, still learning. So I think the best is yet to come when you look at Ryan Day's career and you project it 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. He's going to be a better coach than he is now. And he's a darn good coach right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you watch the offense and the way it runs, it just has to be an absolute dream for wide receivers to play in, especially with all the different NFL style route combinations so they can show off their skills. But anyway, Bill, thank you so much for joining me today. And is there anything you want to say to the Morning Scoop audience?
No, man, I just appreciate the job you're doing. I'm glad you're with us. I think you're just doing a great job, and I'm proud to be working with you.
Bill, thank you so much. It's been great to learn from the absolute best. So, anyway, we will be back tomorrow. Thank you all so much for listening, and you guys all have a wonderful rest of your day and weekend.